very much, Chairman. I will be brief because, as you say, we have discussed this before, but as you have indicated, this is part of the ongoing, part of the package of the ongoing negotiation in relation to the EPAs. As you rightly say, the WTO waiver expired on the 31st of January 2007. At that time, in order to meet the deadline, members will recall that a number of countries initialled EPAs and the interim EPAs, and that the Caribbean countries concluded a full EPA. And since then, the Pacific EPA has also been negotiated and come into force. The negotiations with many of the African EPAs, African countries, have been less speedy and more frustrating. In some cases we have failed to negotiate, in others we have signed initialled interim agreements and they have not been implemented, and in some cases they have been initialled but not signed. Because if we had simply allowed the WTO waiver to expire, a number of countries would have found themselves facing difficulty in accessing our market. We bridged the gap by signing or passing Regulation 1528, as you say, known as the Market Access Regulation, and this has allowed 36 countries that initialled EPAs in 2007 to continue to get access to our market. The Commission's proposal view is that the time to end this bridging proposal has come, and in their proposal they have set a date for the 1st of January 2014. And this is when EPAs would have to be ratified, or countries would have to fall back on GSP, and in some cases they would continue to have everything but arms, so will not be affected by the signing or non-signing of the Market Access Regulation. The countries that this would hit on hardest would be Botswana and Namibia, who would have nothing to fall back on. They would not have GSP, and they certainly, of course, will not have everything but arms, and they would be at a very competitive disadvantage in terms of trying to access our market. We visited together, Chair, with other members of this committee, Kenya, who expressed grave concerns about the expiry of the Market Access Regulation, particularly for their flour industry, which they said would face additional tariffs of 23–24% if the market access expired and no EPA had been negotiated. This would clearly have a significant impact on their economy. So what to do? On the one hand, I do accept the Commission's logic that this was a temporary solution, and at some point you have to draw a line under that temporary solution. Without the derogation, we would be in breach of WTO regulations. If the derogation becomes open-ended, we are also in breach of WTO regulations. So I think the Commission are right to say we need a deadline. And for me, the question is not whether we have a deadline, but when that deadline should be. The Commission have proposed January 2014. I think that is rather soon. And in talking to ACP partners, I am putting words in their mouth because none of them have actually used the word blackmail, but some of them see this as heavy pressure to sign and negotiate, to initial an unsatisfactory EPA sooner rather than later. So my suggestion is that we do set a deadline, but we set it 2 years later, that we set the 1st of January 2016. If I could give you one example, Kenya may, if it succeeds, may sign an EPA by June or July, and that would be fine. But if they don't, they move into an autumn of an election. They will have the election period when nothing will happen. They will then have the post-election when the government is formed. They will then have to re-enter negotiations, and it would be right up against 1st of January 2014. I think that would be very unfair. If we go to the other two countries, Botswana and Namibia, I think most people, fair-minded people, would say the problem they have is not with them. I think it would be relatively straightforward for them to sign up for EPAs. The difficulty they face is their relationship with South Africa, and that is causing them then difficulties in coming to a conclusion, and they need further time to discuss with their partners. So, in conclusion, Chair, 2014 is too soon. A deadline, though, is necessary. It cannot be an open-ended commitment, so I am proposing 2016.